माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोदरक श्री श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस शिल भय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत गोस्वामी महाराज श्रीला प्रभुपाद की। इस्कॉन विविध संस्थापकाचार्य श्रीला प्रभुपाद की। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोदरक श्रीमद् डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की। नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की। गंगा माई की। जमुना माई की। भक्ति देवी की। कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदायिनी श्रीमती तुलसी महारानी की। कलयुग पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की। श्रीला प्रभुपाद ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Jai Sri Sri Radha Kalachandji Bhagavan की। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya। Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya। Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha। नम ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। No, I gave him a verse. Yeah. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 8. Vetha Tvam Saumya Tat Sarvam Tatvatas Tat Anugrahat Bruyuhu Snigdhasya Shishyasya Guravo Gohyam Api Uta Vettatvam Saumya Tat Sarvam Tatvatas Tat Anugrahat ब्रूयुः स्निग्धस्य शिष्यस्य गुरवो गुह्यमप्युत वेत्थ त्वं सौम्य तत्सर्वं तत्त्वतस्तत् अनुग्रहात् ब्रूयुः स्निग्धस्य शिष्यस्य गुरवो गुह्यमप्युत वेत्थ त्वं सौम्य तत्सर्वं तत्त्वतस्तत् अनुग्रहात् ब्रूयुः स्निग्धस्य शिष्यस्य गुरवो गुह्यमप्युत. Vetha, you are well conversant. Tvam, your honor. Saumya, one who is pure and simple. Tat, those. Sarvam, all. Tatvataha, in fact. Tat, there. Anugrahat, by the favor of. Bruyuhu, will tell. Snigdhasya, one, of the one who is submissive. Shishyasya, of the disciple. Guravaha, the spiritual masters. Guhyam, secret. Api uta, endowed with. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And because you are submissive, your spiritual masters have endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle disciple. Therefore, you can tell us all that you have scientifically learned from them. Purport. The secret of success in spiritual life is in satisfying the spiritual master, thereby getting his sincere blessings. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has sung in his famous 8 stanzas on the spiritual master as follows. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Only by his satisfaction can one please the personality of Godhead. And when he is dissatisfied, there is only havoc on the path of spiritual realization. It is essential, therefore, that the disciple be very much obedient and submissive to the bona fide spiritual master. Srila Sutta Goswami fulfilled all these qualifications as a disciple, and therefore he was endowed with all favors by his learned and self-realized spiritual masters, such as Srila Vyasadeva and others. The sages of Naimisharanya were confident that Srila Sutta Goswami was bona fide. Therefore, they were anxious to hear from him. Srila Prabhupada ki. So today's topic is on studying Srimad Bhagavatam. So we are grateful to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, that by His mercy, for the first time, the Srimad Bhagavad Puran was translated in English. And Srila Prabhupada began this translation work in the 50s. And from 55 to 65, Srila Prabhupada completed the translation of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, 3 parts. So it took him 10 years to complete one canto. So naturally, one may imagine that if 55 to 65, 10 years he did one canto, so 65 to 75 he'll do how many? But then in that 12 years, till 1977, Srila Prabhupada completed the 13th chapter of the 10th canto. He completed the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adilila, Madhyalila, Antalila, Nectar of Devotion, Krishna book. And in those 12 years, what he has given to the whole world is 80 books in 80 languages and 550 million Bhagavad Gitas distributed all over the world. So, when Srila Prabhupada was in Jhansi in India, he began his efforts to distribute his books. And the first book he had written was Easy Journey to Other Planets, very small book. And when he showed that to one of his friends asked him, "What will I get by reading this book?" Then Prabhupada told him, "You read this Easy Journey to Other Planets, you will go to spiritual world, Goloka." His friend said, "After going to Goloka, can I come back to Jhansi?" Prabhupada said, "No." He said, "Then I'm not interested." So it is wishing that till 1965, Srila Prabhupada did not experience much reciprocation, and he did not experience too much of interest within India. That's also a very interesting study. And then he was so determined to fulfill the orders of his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that he decided to travel to America with the first canto, 3 parts. So when Srila Prabhupada, he was part of the Gaudiya Math. Saraswati Thakur had established the Gaudiya Math in 1919. Srila Prabhupada was a Grihastha, and he got initiated in 1933 in Prayagraj. And then at that time, nobody imagined that a person with so many Grihastha responsibilities, with 5 children, and one of Srila Prabhupada's sons' name was Prayagraj, and he fell in love with a girl in the neighborhood, and then she did not reciprocate, and he became frustrated, and he became mentally deranged. And he would roam around in the streets of Calcutta picking rags and things like that. So Srila Prabhupada had an intense Grihastha life, where one of the sons became mentally handicapped. The wife was totally unfavorable. He had major business losses and debts. So Srila Prabhupada experienced the full range of whatever the material world had to offer. But interestingly, while going through all of these distresses, vipatti, or adversities, Srila Prabhupada was focused not on prosperity or adversity, but he was focused on the opportunity. That is Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is revealing a totally different paradigm that what we are used to. And I'm speaking for myself as a born Hindu who's used to visiting temples and praying only for two things: how to increase my prosperity, how to diminish my adversity. That's the typical prayer in the temple. May my prosperity increase, may my adversity diminish. But the Srimad Bhagavatam defines this prayer as anxiety. Meditation on enhancing one's prosperity and diminishing one's adversity is the root cause of anxiety. And therefore, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, this principle is brought out that don't search for prosperity, don't try to avoid adversity, but seek the opportunity to serve Krishna. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is a literature which is offering us through the 12 cantos, through the examples of the different personalities, how each one of those personalities, right from 1st canto to 12th canto, they have only one thing in common. The names are different, the yugas are different, the vamshas are different, the kind of flavors they have with respect to the relationship with Lord is different. But in the midst of all those differences, the common theme amongst all of those personalities is they have all been searching for an opportunity to serve Krishna and consider that to be their greatest wealth. So therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is creating a totally different narrative than what we are used to understanding. And therefore, tadaham te abidasyami mahapaurushiko bhavan yasya shraddadatam ashu syan mukunde mati sati. Shukadeva Goswami tells Parikshit, I am speaking this Srimad Bhagavatam to you, O Parikshit, because you have two very powerful qualifications. What is that? Yasya shraddadatam asu. You have deep faith. In what? You have deep faith in the principle of serving Krishna. You are seeking to serve Krishna. Syan mukunde matihi sati. And number two, your intelligence is constantly meditating on how I can serve and please Krishna. So, when we are convinced that I have to serve Krishna and I keep meditating on how to serve Krishna, that's basically the prerequisite for getting absorbed in Srimad Bhagavatam, because the number of items in the lunch does not determine the taste. There may be chappan bhog, but if your stomach is full, then in spite of all that chappan bhog, you don't feel any taste. What is important is the hunger. So when we are speaking about the Srimad Bhagavatam, how to study Srimad Bhagavatam, this, that is all detail. The important thing is, do I have the hunger? Because based on the hunger, then only we will actually experience that nourishment. So the nourishment depends on the hunger. When we were in our Kartik Yatra, 2008, Vrindavan, Govardhan, the first time, Maharaj, Radhanath Maharaj had this yatra for 4 or 5 days in Vrindavan and 4 or 5 days in Govardhan. It was like, a lot of effort shifting the kitchen from here to there, shifting accommodations. So there was a lot of debate, should we go to Govardhan or not? But Maharaj finally pushed and said that the yatra managers, you're always looking at expedience, how you can organize with the minimum effort. But in Vaishnava community, the experience of the devotees is more important than the experience of the managers. So even if it means a little extra effort, we have to make that effort so that the devotees get a better experience. And when we shifted to Govardhan, it was a wonderful experience with Govardhan Puja being celebrated right in front of Giriraj, and devotees all cooked. So many items, more than 1,000 items were cooked, and they were all cooking on, cow dung cakes and everything. Many of them cooking for the first time like that. So there was a lot of experiments which happened during that cooking, but nobody was in anxiety because Giriraj only was going to honor it. And there was like huge quantities of prasadam, and when I saw that bhoga, I thought, how will it get over? And I was thinking maybe we should distribute during the parikrama here, do this, stop the local people and give them this prasad. But then as soon as the prasad distribution started, I underestimated the power of our devotees. And within 1.5 hours, and we had also cooked separate prasadam as part of our regular. So that also got over. And all of this bhoga which was made, everything got over within 1.5, 2 hours. And then there was this local Brajavasi who was helping us organize things. So he came, so I wanted to give him some pots from this, Mahaprasad. So I started searching. I could not find a single one. Everything was empty. I was shocked. What a powerful appetite. And then I saw one devotee sitting with a plate, and there were like 10 pots around him. He himself looked like Giriraj. So I should have just asked him one pot. Instead, I asked him, will you be able to finish everything? He looked at me and said, that is my problem. What is your objection? I says, no, I just want one pot. He said, then ask like that. Don't test my power. So when there is hunger, then everything can be consumed. But when there is no hunger, what will you do? So the important thing while discussing how to study Srimad Bhagavatam is how to create the hunger. And unless that hunger is created, knowledge of the English language is not sufficient condition, or knowledge of any language is not the condition to get absorbed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The appetite must be there, the hunger must be there, and then only one can actually appreciate this subject matter. Yat shrinvato paiti auratir vitrishna sat Tvam cha shuddhyati achirena pumsa bhaktim harau tat purushe cha sakhyam tadeva haram vadamanyase chet. Parikshit Maharaj, when he begins hearing the 10th canto, 10th canto begins on the end of the 3rd day, when Shukadeva Goswami is speaking, because it's a 7 day, and 9 cantos cover 9,000 verses. 10th, 11th, and 12th canto, they cover 9,000 verses. So at the end of 3rd day, the 10th canto begins. And so Parikshit Maharaj is telling Srila Shukadeva Goswami, Yena yena avatarena bhagavan haririshvara karoti karna ramyani manogyani chana prabho. So different avatars description you have spoken. Bhagavan Harir Ishvara. I've heard about the Supreme Lord. And these narrations are pleasing to the ears and satisfying to the heart and the mind and the intellect. And then he speaks the verse by which he describes the 5 effects of hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he says, when we hear the Srimad Bhagavatam from the bona fide sources or study the Srimad Bhagavatam from the bona fide sources, what are the 5 effects? First he says, Yat Shrenavato apaiti aratir. Apaiti means goes away, dissipates. Aratir means distaste. So the lack of taste for this subject matter goes away. And when we say lack of taste, which means what? It's lack of taste in a desire to serve Krishna. Because to the extent there is an intensity of desire to serve Krishna and his devotees, one is eager to hear about how other devotees served Krishna. And when the desire to serve Krishna is not intense, why should I find other devotees' service to Krishna relevant or interesting or compelling or absorbing? So therefore, the important word centered around the Srimad Bhagavatam is service or seva. Whether it is chanting of the holy names or the studying or the hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam, as practicing bhaktas, the focus has to be on seva. Because name ruchi means aspiration to serve. Vaishnav seva means actions to serve. And Jivedaya means giving conditioned souls access to serve. So the common word is serve. So therefore, rather than refining one's studying techniques, reading techniques, concentration techniques, we are all hitting at the wrong end. We have to focus on improving our desire and appetite to serve, which basically means we have to become open to hearing instructions from other devotees who will give us instructions to serve. Because service is given by whom? By the Vaishnavas. Which basically means that we have to overcome our allergy towards Vaishnavas who may speak things which we do not expect to hear. So therefore, then our focus shifts to how we become eager to hear from the Vaishnavas and reciprocate with the Vaishnavas and try to fulfill their desire even if we do not like what they ask us to do. That's what this verse here is also mentioning. Vetatvam saumya tat sarvam tatvatas tat anugrahat. You are submissive, you are gentle, saumya. Because only when you are saumya, somebody will feel the guts to tell you seva. If you are ugra, how will anybody even dare to even give seva? People will think twice, thrice, 10 times, and I finally conclude, better I only do. Right? So many times our meetings in temples start as Ishta Goshti, end up with Mushti Goshti. So it's all connected. It's all, in sync with each other. Because to hear someone else's opinion and desire and plan and try to execute that is not easy. Today evening we'll be discussing about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his travel to Vrindavan and things like that. So the bottom line is submission. And that's the reason why we have come to the Vaishnav Sangha. You go to the doctor to remove your tumor, and you come to the temple to remove your ego. If you go to the doctor and pay like a fortune, and then after the analysis of the doctor and the scan and everything is done, and the doctor recommends surgery, and you say, no, I will not allow surgery. I will not allow you to touch my body. Then all of that visit and all the payment which you have made for going through all the scans and everything is of no use, because you're not allowing the surgery which will heal you. The pain of the surgery is a prerequisite for the pleasure of a healthy life. So the pain of removing that false ego is a mandatory precondition before we experience the pleasure of serving Krishna. And therefore Thakur Bhaktivinoda says, Gurudev kripa bindu diya koroe dase trinapekha otihina. Just like you have nasal drops, ear drops which remove the congestion, like that there is the ego drop. If nasal drop removes the nasal congestion, ego drops remove the ego congestion. And that ego drop is called as Kripa Bindu. So when people hear Gurudev, so they think, oh, Gurudev means my initiating Guru, who never sees me in the whole year. So I have a very comfortable relation with him. I love him. I really love him. Why? He never tells me anything. Only time I've met him is when he gave me the beads. Before that and after that, I never met him. I love him and I love Kalachanji because they keep smiling at me. Apart from that, the devotees around, very dangerous. You never know when they will tell what. Suddenly they'll catch me. Do this. Can you do this? Can you come tomorrow for this? Can you come this weekend for this? Devotees means they only keep changing my plans. But that's the purpose we have come to Krishna consciousness. To allow the Vaishnavas to surgically intervene in our plans. The only reason we have come into that association of devotees is to give the power of attorney to the Vaishnavas to interfere in our life, so that the direction of our journey goes towards the spiritual world. Kalena Brindavana Keli Varta Lupte Titvam Kyapayitum Vishishya Kripamritena Bhishishescha Devas Tatraiva Rupam Cha Sanatanam Cha. Rupa and Sanatan were Prime Minister and Finance Minister of whole Bengal. Lord Chaitanya could have said, hey, continue in your political career. It will be good public relation for me. We can create good influence through the Nawab. We could get the Nawab to sponsor many temples. One of the biggest challenges is, from where do we get Lakshmi? So Lord Chaitanya's problem was solved, because his most prominent two disciples were in position of being Prime Minister and Finance Minister. And they had loads of gold with them. So don't you think the more logical thing for Lord Chaitanya would have been to go to Vrindavan himself and have a hotline with Sanatan and Rupa and tell them, send a few cartloads of gold from Bengal to Vrindavan so that we can build the temple in Vrindavan. And Rupa and Sanatan, should we come to Vrindavan? No, you stay there. You continue sending the gold. I'll take care of, the temple part. But you make sure the gold keeps getting supplied. But Lord Chaitanya is telling them, leave. So it seems contradictory. And they came and joined Lord Chaitanya in 1518. Lord Chaitanya ended his pastimes in 1534. And the first red sandstone temple did not get built till 1540. So Rupa and Sanatan hardly saw the actual construction of the temples. They practically spent their time writing the books. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to reveal that Vrindavan can be revealed not with money, but with submission. And therefore, he wanted Rupa and Sanatan to establish the standards of renunciation. And the first principle of renunciation is renounce your plan. And therefore, Kalena Brindavana Keli Varta, Rupa and Sanatan wrote about, Lord Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. Lupteti, it was hidden. Kyapayatum, and again they brought it in front of the world. And therefore Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu empowered Rupa and Sanatan, because he was extremely pleased with their humility. When Lord Chaitanya initiated them, Lord Chaitanya says, Aji hoye te duhar naam Rupa Sanatan, dainya chhad tomar dainya phate moraman. I initiate you, give you the name Rupa and Sanatan, and first instruction to you is give up your humility. Give up your humility. That is the instruction Lord Chaitanya has to give Rupa and Sanatan. One devotee asked one spiritual master, please give instructions on how I can remain humble. The Guru said, first become humble. Then only you can remain humble. So therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Kripa Bindu is the drops of mercy which we receive, which purifies our ego. Trinapekha Atihina, then we become humbler than the blade of grass. Sakale Sahane Bala Diya Karo, Nija Mane Spurhahina. The ability to tolerate is a power which is bestowed by the Vaishnav Sangha. Sakala Sahane Bala Diya Karo. So therefore, any Vaishnav who is giving us instruction, engaging us in seva, they are our gurus. Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. It's in plural. And therefore, Nija mane spruha hina, without appetite for one's own glorification. Sakale samman korite shakati deho nath jata jatha. May I get the power to respect other devotees as per their different grades, their different adhikar. तबे तो गाइबो हरि नाम सुखे अपराध हो बेहत. Then we get the ability to chant the holy names. Right? So therefore, this principle is that when we are eager to follow, then that eagerness to follow creates the desire to hear. Because we want to hear how others have followed, how others have done this. We are in sync. But if we are in the mood of rebellion, that, oh no, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. Like one disciple of Srila Prabhupada was in Vrindavan for a long time. And Prabhupada was noticing that he's supposed to have left Vrindavan by now, he's still here. Prabhupada approached him and said, I thought you were here only for a month. Now it's more than 2 months. What are you doing here? He said, Srila Prabhupada, Vrindavan is so pleasing. I'm enjoying Vrindavan. Prabhupada said, Vrindavan is for Krishna's enjoyment, not for your enjoyment. You should go and preach. This devotee said, Srila Prabhupada, where will I go and preach? I have already preached in America, in Europe, here, there. I have covered most of the countries. Prabhupada said, go to Sri Lanka. Now he was bewildered. He didn't expect this. So he thought for some time and he said, Srila Prabhupada, Sri Lanka is a very small country. Means it's below my standard. Sri Lanka, very small country. Prabhupada said, then go to Pakistan. He thought for some time and he said, I think Sri Lanka is better. He goes to Sri Lanka and there he meets some atheist and he has a conversation with the atheist and very powerful arguments he gives. And Srila Prabhupada publishes that in Life Comes From Life. So many times we may think, what is the point in doing this way? My plan is better. So therefore, habit is very important. Taste. Either you get a taste of rebelling and doing your own way, that also has its taste. And then when you actually decide to change your plan, even though you may not think it makes sense, and then you experience Krishna's intervention, then you get a different taste. And only when you get that taste, you get that conviction and faith that this works. That the willingness to change my plans is safe. It's not unsafe. And one overcomes that insecurity of how can I put faith in someone else's opinion and desire. So one has to experience that. Then only one gets entry into the Bhakti Tattva. Otherwise, karma, jnana, yoga is all about doing what one wants to do, keeping the ego intact. Because karma is all achievement oriented, jnana is knowledge oriented, yoga is perfection oriented. Out of the four, bhakti is the toughest, because in bhakti we offer the ego itself. One of Prabhupada's disciples heard that Prabhupada wants to make him the president. and he did not want to become. So he wrote a whole list of arguments why he cannot be president. And he came to Prabhupada and offered obeisances. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, any seva? He knew that Prabhupada will say, become president. And he had the arguments ready in his pocket. Prabhupada said, take sannyas. He got bewildered. Sannyas? I just got married, Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, so what? Krishna is there, he will take care. But I got a small son. Prabhupada said, we will take care, don't worry. Prabhupada, my senses are not in control. Prabhupada said, you take sannyas, power will come. He got so bewildered, his mind started reeling because he had not planned for this. And he said, Srila Prabhupada, I am willing to do anything, but I cannot take sannyas. Prabhupada said, become president then. So we may make our plans this way, that way. But then the Bhagavatam begins with Maharaj Parikshit. All plans are set. Suddenly, if someone says, can a glass of water kill you? Glass of water cannot kill anybody. Even if you throw at somebody's face a glass of water, it cannot kill. But Parikshit was thirsty for a glass of water. It was a quiet forest, quiet sage. The snake was also quiet. Everything was quiet. How can all elements which are quiet create such violence? Because Krishna's will, if he decides, your time is up. This is how much I want you to do this seva. That's it. We have to submit. So therefore, there is no point becoming unnecessarily angry and upset in the association, because Krishna is personally handpicking who he wants to be engaged in what seva, for how much time, in what context, in what way. So once you understand that principle, then seva becomes very simple. And managing sevaks becomes pleasurable. So therefore, Parikshit Maharaj immediately understood the time has come. There is no point rebelling. When I was in my mother's womb, Krishna wanted to destroy the Brahmastra and wanted me to appear. Now Krishna wants to destroy me and he wants Srimad Bhagavatam to appear. So Krishna's will cannot be challenged. Let us submit to his will. So that's the whole context of the Srimad Bhagavatam, that when you lose your iPhone, for example, I'm making a major offense by even giving such an example. Or let me say, misplace your iPhone, right? You misplace your iPhone. Now imagine with what absorption you will search. Everything else goes out of your mind. Whether Trump is winning or Kamala Harris is winning or the markets are going this way, that way. What is it for prasad, this, that, nothing is in your mind. You're only searching for that missing phone. Because you know what you are searching for. When you are completely clear what you are searching for, you are focused. Like that, when you are searching to see and find Krishna's will, then you study the Srimad Bhagavatam, trying to see the hand of Krishna and his will behind each and every episode. So Srimad Bhagavatam is not just an intellectual study. I just had prasad, now let me read a few pages before I inevitably fall asleep. When you're searching for your iPhone, there is intensity, there is intention, there is clarity in what you're searching for. So therefore, how to study Srimad Bhagavatam is a very superfluous question when you don't know what you're searching for. Are you interested to see the hand of God, the will of Krishna, the desire of the Lord? So the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes very interesting only for those who are searching for that. Because somebody whose phone is in his pocket and he sees somebody running around the temple hall, searching here, there, looking behind the pillar, this, he thinks, "Arey, he's crazy or what?" But that guy knows he's searching for his phone. The other guy cannot appreciate. So therefore, you have to have clarity in what you are searching for. So unless these basic things are clear, you will not get taste. So that's what is the first effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Apaiti aratir. Which means by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, one overcomes distaste. Which means gradually by hearing, you realize that I think I should be searching for seeing Krishna's will in this Bhagavatam. That also takes some time. By continuously seeing devotees who are absorbed and wondering, why are they absorbed? Why are they not sleeping? Why are they so enthusiastic? Are they mentally okay? Is there some derangement? Oh, they are normal. Still they are absorbed. So then after going through this repetitive inquiry, when one comes to the conclusion that I have no choice but to understand, then you come to the understanding, oh, this is what the subject of Srimad Bhagavatam is. That is called dissipation of distaste. So that's what Kaviraj Goswami says. Jeba nahi bujhe keha, shunite shunite seha, ki adbhuta chaitanya charitra, Krishne upajibe priti, janibe rashera riti, shunilai bada hoye hita. Kaviraj Goswami says, samman mein the. I can't understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. How do you expect me to understand Chaitanya Charitamrita? I am not Bengali. How do I understand? I never heard this language before. So he says, I expect that response. Jeba nahi bujhe keha. Shunite shunite se. Still keep hearing again and again. Keep hearing? I don't understand. Still I keep hearing. Why? Ki adbhuta Chaitanya Charita. That is the power of the effect of Chaitanya Charitamrita. What will happen? Krishna upajibe priti janibe rasya. You will develop love for Krishna and understand the flow of the rasas. And number 3, shunilai bada hoy hita. You will get benefit. So therefore, repetitive hearing is encouraged, by which, even though initially there is distaste, the sound vibration is so powerful that it gradually reveals that the subject of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the will of Krishna. And the will of Krishna is constantly dancing. As they say, that to understand and submit to the word of God is very difficult. More difficult than surrendering to word of God means Bhagavad Gita. So when we first heard the Bhagavad Gita, we heard, do this, do this, do this, do this, don't do this. Don't eat this, don't drink this. So that's also difficult. Follow the principles, get up in the morning, do this. When we were in the late 80s in Chowpatty, all the neighbors were putting court case on us. Why you're getting up at 4 o'clock? and doing all this Aarti, Varti and all. And 70, 80 court cases were on the temple. And one time they came with video camera also. And in 88, 89, video camera was rare. So the brahmacharis got excited, got all the mridangs they had. They thought, oh, it's a great chance to be in video. So, to follow the word of God, which is scripture, is difficult. More difficult to follow than the word of God is to follow the will of a living devotee. Because it becomes more dynamic. Word of God remains there. It doesn't jump out. When we want, we can close it. Go to sleep. And you may think, let me sleep on it. Let me sleep over it. Very interesting purport. After I get up, it will become more interesting. But the will of the devotee is more dynamic. It will not allow you to sleep. It will enter the sleep also. Suddenly you'll get a call in the middle of your sleep. So that's more difficult. But most difficult is the whim of Krishna. The whim of Krishna is what is represented in that painting. So the most beautiful section of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the Rasa Leela. So when you look at this dance, you may think, wow, what a dance. Amazing. It's so glorious. It is so attractive. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us the dance in Kirtan to raise our hands up. So what basically the gopis are doing is their dance steps are in tune with Krishna's steps, which basically represents that nobody could match the way the gopis could dance and keep pace with Krishna's steps. So the speed with which Krishna's will changes, to the extent a devotee is able to keep pace with that changing will of Krishna, to that extent that devotee becomes advanced. So in Kirtan we are acknowledging, make me dance as per your whim. Whatever may be your whim, my dear Lord, I am willing to dance up and down like a puppet without making a protest. That is why it is chanting and dancing. So therefore, word of God, will of the devotee, and the whim of Krishna. And the Srimad Bhagavatam 12 cantos is taking us through a series of episodes where Krishna is manifesting his whim and how the devotee is responding to that. So therefore, so that's the whole idea of distaste. When we become also eager to dance as per Krishna's whim, then we are interested. So the important thing is our interest must align with the subject matter. If our interest is in a different direction, we will not find the subject matter absorbing, attractive. So we have to work on that part. Once we work on that part, everything else just follows. One time, Radhanath Swami Maharaj was giving a lecture in Janmashtami, late 90s, and he spoke for 5-6 hours. It was a fasting day. Anyway, Janmashtami is like fasting till midnight. And we were all wondering when will the lecture end now. And then every 1.5 hours he would say, shall I continue? Then we had no choice. We said, Hari Bol. Hari Bol. And then after like 5 hours when the lecture ended, 5 or 6 brahmacharis came to the ashram and crashed on the ground. And they were snoring within minutes. I entered the ashram. I got inspired by seeing them. I also started preparing to sleep. And Maharaj suddenly came and entered. I said, "Oh, Maharaj, what are you doing?" He said, "I was checking out what's going on in the ashram." And then he looked at these 6 snoring brahmacharis and he looked at me and said, "What is this? Today is Janmashtami. They are sleeping like this. Every moment you should be serving on Janmashtami day. Why they are sleeping?" I said, "Maharaj, evening there is a big program. They are conserving their energy. Because fasting day today, So Maharaj said, 5 hours I spoke about Krishna Leela and now they are showing Mahavishnu Leela. So you may, think, oh, how can I get absorbed? You cannot get artificially absorbed. So one has to be able to seek to see Krishna's will and the movement. And that's what, when we are absolutely clear that this is what I'm searching for, then the treasure hunt is always very absorbing. You're trying to search for that. Yashrenavato apaiti aratir is distaste goes away. Second effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is vitrishna. Material desires come down. The desires for enjoyment, they all come down. One becomes purified of those desires. And therefore, Prataprudra Maharaj, in his association with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he says, Sarvabhauma upadeshe chhadira javesh akale vaishnava veshe korila pravesh. Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya gives him instruction, you give up your, Rajakiya clothes, royal clothes, and wear Vaishnava clothes and take that position. So he goes inside the Jagannath Vallabh garden when Jagannath Rath is stopped at Balagandi, and then he starts glorifying the Gopi Gita. And when Lord Chaitanya hears this, he's in ecstasy and he says, Bhurida, Bhurida. And then he says, Prabhu kohe ke tomi korila morahit achambite asi piyao Krishna Lilamrit. Who are you? From where have you come? And how is that you are giving so much of nectar of Krishna Katha? So at that time, Prataprudra Maharaj, he is tested. What is his identity? Is he a king? Is he a royalty? Is he having influence over whole of Orissa? What is he? A Raja kahe ame tomar daseranu das bhrityera bhritya karo aimora ash. I am your servant of your servant. Purva seva dekhi tare kripa upajila anusandhan vina kripa prasad kurila. Lord Chaitanya had already decided, I will give mercy to Prataprudra when he saw him taking the position of a servant, brooming in front of Jagannath. Purva seva dekhi tare kripa upajila. So Prataprudra Maharaj was a king. His skill set was that of administration, influence, handling conflict. So many times we think Krishna will get impressed with the skill set of my expertise. Whichever seva I can do expertly, the chances are that Krishna will get pleased with that. Because that's what happens in the material world. We are hired for our expertise. We are hired and promoted for our performance based on our skill. So Prataprudra Maharaj's skill was administration, was ruling a kingdom, managing armies. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got impressed with Prataprudra Maharaj using a broom, not sword. So Prataprudra Maharaj never practiced brooming. He did not try to become an expert, mopping guy. But he just took the broom and he just did it. Lord Chaitanya decided on that basis, I will bless him. So therefore, how Krishna becomes pleased with us, we cannot predict, because it is not based on skill. It is based on our sincere desire to please Krishna and Krishna's will. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya detected within Prataprudra Maharaj that he has a sincere desire to be a servant, not to be a king. That's what is the meaning of being purified of one's desires. Vitrishna. Vitrishna means one becomes freed from one's desires to enjoy. One's material desires come down. Apaiti aratir vitrishna. What is the typical weakness of human society? The weakness of demigod society, Devata society, is bhoga, enjoyment. In Atishaya Indriya Utsavat, Bhagavatam says, excessive sense enjoyment every moment. What is the weakness of animal society? Bhay, fear. Even animal is eating few grains, animal will keep looking here and there if somebody is coming to attack. Must have seen that. Whether it's a dog or a bird, always in fear. We may also be eating, but we don't have that fear that somebody is going to hit me from the side. The fear is obsessive with animals. But what is the weakness of human society? Shok, lamentation. Whatever we may go through in life, however much we may get, always in the back of our mind, violin is playing. Lamentation. Oh, you didn't get this, you didn't get that. Why this happened? Why that happened? You did not get. You got, but it was not as expected. You got, it was as per expected, but it taken away from you. So many different ways of lamenting. So therefore, when there is constant lamentation because we think we did not get. As I tell the story, when I was going for a program in Mumbai, I saw a building and it was written their name, Sukh Shanti apartment under repair and maintenance. So it's always an advertisement. You are going to get Sukh, you are getting Shanti, peace, bliss, but always under repair and maintenance. So therefore, what is the way to overcome that lamentation? When you hear Srimad Bhagavatam, you realize that the greatest thing to obtain is not family, wealth, property, position, but Krishna. The greatest, most powerful kings, even when they meet Krishna face to face, they are only seeking Krishna. Then we realize that is the aspiration. So therefore, desires come down with Krishna. Then I realize I already have attained that. There is nothing more to attain. That's the highest. And then Dhruv Maharaj gets to become the king of the entire planet. Bhaktim muhur prabhatam tvaime prasango. Bhuyat ananta mahatam amalashayam. What is praying? association of devotees. So therefore with Krishna. The third effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, first is one overcomes distaste, second one becomes purified of desires, and third is one experiences the onset of mode of goodness, sattvam. When mode of goodness comes, one becomes filled with the intention to serve, not because of fear or desire, but because of duty. Sattva gun means, let me perform this seva as a matter of duty. Sattvam cha shuddhyati. And fourth effect of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam is bhaktim harau. One develops devotion. And fifth effect is purushecha sakhyam. One develops close bonding and affinity with other devotees in the midst of whom we are hearing and chanting. Tadevaharam vadamanyase ched. May I wear this garland of hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam around my neck. Parikshit is expressing to Shukadeva Goswami like that. So therefore this Srimad Bhagavatam is personification of Krishna in the form of sound vibration. Krishna himself, Grantha-avatar. And therefore, when we give submissive oral reception to this vibration, then the transformation within the heart automatically happens. So we are grateful that Srila Prabhupada, he translated all of these into English language with sleepless nights. And then Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they helped him, assisted him in publishing, printing, and distributing these books. Nowadays, everybody is talking about startup. We are the founder of startup. In our time, after passing out, we used to look for job. Now everybody wants to be a startup founder. But one of the greatest startup was ISKCON itself. And what was the seed funding? 40 rupees. Srila Prabhupada went with 40 rupees in his pocket. And he just, started the process. And within years, all across the world, these books were distributed. And when the book distributions happened, and His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj is one of the major pioneers of large-scale book distribution, the BBT was generating profits. And Srila Prabhupada was giving loans to different countries. Australia, he would give 250,000 and help start the mission there. And then as they would pay back the loan, Prabhupada would then take further profits and then fund another country. So the entire ISKCON in 1971 to 77 was spread not because of checks from some wealthy individuals. The whole ISKCON was spread based on the Lakshmi which was generated from the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita and the spiritual literatures. So Srimad Bhagavatam has been at the foundation of spreading of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So it has been a historic, moment where Srila Prabhupada not only translated the Bhagavatam, published the Bhagavatam and printed it, created the inspiration to distribute the Bhagavatam and use the funds to establish ISKCON all over the world. So therefore, whatever ISKCON we see today is nothing but the grace of Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam. When Srila Prabhupada was about to come to the west, he came to Shantipur to meet take blessings of Srila Advaita Acharya. And one of his godbrothers met him there and he asked him, "Oh, Swami Maharaj, we heard you're going to America." And Prabhupada said, "I am not going to America. The Srimad Bhagavatam is going to America. I am accompanying the Srimad Bhagavat as the servant." So that was the mood of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. So therefore we are grateful to, all of Srila Prabhupada's disciples. Mostly they were from the West. In 1977, Srila Prabhupada had 5,500 disciples. Hardly 20 to 30 were Indian disciples. Srila Prabhupada had 108 temples in 1977. Only 5 temples were in India. 103 temples were outside India. Vrindavan, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Mayapur and Calcutta were the only temples. In the 1971 to 77 period, Prabhupada spent majority of time in India, but produced only 5 temples. So history has very unique ways of showing anything can change anytime. So at that time, nobody imagined Indians will come to ISKCON. But now things have changed. And these changes continue to happen. But the important thing is, the foundation to sustain the nourishment and the growth of Lord Chaitanya's mission has been established by Srila Prabhupada in the form of his books. And especially the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so we are very grateful to all those disciples of Srila Prabhupada who were primarily from America and Europe, who took the pains to translate these books, assist Srila Prabhupada in publishing and printing these books so that our generation gets that luxury of the clear insight of the meanings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And after that, now Bhanu Maharaj and others have given so many other commentaries of the other acharyas and this and that. So when I joined ISKCON, we had limited resources, but a lot of time to study. And while studying, I did not have all these, Subodhini guides of Gaurang Darshan or all of these other things to know the connection or this or that. And I would be wondering, why this chapter is coming here, why that chapter coming here. It was confusing. We didn't have all the resources. So I had time but no resources. Now all the resources are there, no time. So somehow we have to make sure that we keep our connection with Srimad Bhagavatam alive by intensifying our search, a genuine search to see the dance of Krishna's will jumping out of each and every episode of Srimad Bhagavatam. And when we are searching for that, then the absorption is automatic and the study of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes exciting. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. So thank you, Narsinga Rupa Prabhu, for your wonderful leadership and inviting me here, allowing me to share a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gauranga Prabhu. So if you have time, Prabhu, we can have a few questions and
Sure,
comments.
sure.
That's okay.
No, you decide.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for your wonderful class, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, you were talking about plans, right? So Prabhu, in our regular life, how do we differentiate, like how much we should endeavor, how much, at what point we should know this is over endeavor, and when should we surrender to Krishna's plan?
Better you have a guide, a devotee who knows you. So if you find some devotee who knows you well and you can trust him, that devotee's perspective would be important. Right? That's the luxury of association of devotees. Jnani is always doing on his own. But Vaishnava means you always have the luxury of the perspective and intervention of other devotees. So allow the devotees Sangha to lift you up. Okay? Yeah. Any other question? Yes, him, and then after that Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, you mentioned about Krishna's will, that everything happens by Krishna's will. But in Gita, it also says that Krishna gives everyone free will. So how do we align our free will with Krishna's will?
Okay. So free will doesn't mean that Krishna will just keep looking at our will. So we have our free will. Krishna's will is his free will. So the only difference is our will is insignificant. His will is absolute. Like the drop of water in ocean. So when Krishna imposes his will, then we have to submit to that will. So that is the good news or bad news. Whichever way you want to look at it. That is Krishna's will. So Krishna decides like that. Prabhupada was talking to some life member and he asked him, now you have heard the Bhagavad Gita from me. Which is your favorite verse? And the life member said, Yathechasi tatha kuru. That is the favorite part of the Gita for me. Prabhupada said, you missed the point. Because after that, Arjuna says, Nashto moho smritir labdhva tvat prasadat mayachuta sitosmi gata sandeha karishye vachanam tava. That should be the essence. That I will do as you say. You want to add something, Jai Gauranga Prabhu? Jai Gauranga has distributed more books than many devotees in ISKCON. Yes, Mataji.
Hi Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much for the class. Prabhu, when you are speaking about Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, like when he was saying that I respect according to the position of the devotees.
Correct.
Jatha Jatha Jane. In Kalyana Kalpataru, in the Mangala Charan, he also says, I'm unfortunate that I don't know how to recognize a Vaishnava. So by Vaishnava, by their own mercy, they will bless me. So when I read this and hear that, and as I was also hearing about how the Shrutis has both Veda Vakya and Abheda Vakya, that Krishna is non-different and yet Krishna is different. So it's like if we distinguish between one devotee to another, I commit offense. If I don't, then I do something else. So it's like a khichdi. So
you're like a Bhakti Vaibhav teacher or something?
no, student, Prabhu.
You seem quite scholarly. Yeah. That's what I do for a living, recognize people. So, when we come in the association of devotees, there are so many things we can do and so many scriptures. You know, it's the amount of scriptures which our acharyas have commented upon and Krishna has given, it's just maddening. But all of that is ultimately meant to enable us to have the right discrimination, to make the right choices. So the important thing is not how much of prasad is there in the kalachanji. The important thing is what do I choose to keep on my plate. So if Bahu Shastre, Bahu Vakye, Mati Hoilo Chinna. If we just keep studying too many literatures, this and that, we can get confused. So we have to then understand that, yes, I decide to follow this line and then follow this devotee. And then based on that, all our spiritual energies are funneled. And then there is a direction. Right? And especially when someone has too much of intelligence It's also very challenging because we can process so many things simultaneously and figure out this, that, everything. So an intelligent person inhales creativity and exhales dissent, dissatisfaction, because one is able to see the fault here, fault there. So use the intelligence to see the fault in the material world. And then use the intelligence to decide whom to follow. So generally speaking, a jnani uses the intelligence to ask, why should I follow? But a devotee should use the intelligence to ask, how should I follow? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada gave us this method and gave all of his purports. And nowadays it's become fashionable for many people to say, oh, Srila Prabhupada did not give highest and give a very simple sadhana. He did not reveal Swarupa or Siddhi or this. So many things people talk about. How to get a spiritual body, or how to do bhajan in Radha Kund, or this or that and everything. Arey Baba, it's all very, very advanced topic. So therefore, somebody told Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, give me bhajan, give me blessings. I want to now do bhajan in Radha Kund. Prabhupada said, there are enough monkeys there. You are still at Anartha Nivritti stage. Go through that Anartha Nivritti. One has to be qualified. So therefore, one of Srila Prabhupada's god brother, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Siddhardev Goswami, has written an excellent book, which we recommend a lot to the brahmacharis to read, because brahmacharis have less other kinds of engagement. So their mind is relatively more empty and prone to more distraction philosophically. Well, Grasta, you have kids, you have family, you have house, your job, lot of things to occupy your mind. So whether jiva fell from spiritual world or not is not your major, may not be your most powerful problem in life. Because you're already grappling with so many things falling apart. But when, a brahmachari or somebody who's only philosophical, only studying all day, so they keep searching so many things, they get lost in the forest. So that's what Krishna calls as Yadate Moha Kalilam Buddhir Vyatitarishyati, dense forest of delusion. So he says, so we recommend to read Bhakti Rakshak Siddhar Maharaj's book called Follow the Angel, Part 1, and Follow the Angel, Part 2. Both are available free PDF. Pujala Ragapata Gaurava Bhange. Saraswati Thakur's favorite verse. That the Radha Tattva and the Gopi Bhav and all those are very high principles. I respect from a distance. I keep a position back and serve. And that's what Lord Chaitanya came to give, Manjari Bhav. The Manjaris are the class of intimate associates who never want to be with Krishna. They only want to push Radharani closer to Krishna. They want to stay back and push Radharani close to Krishna. And in that they get greater ecstasy. And that's what Lord Chaitanya came to share, the Manjari Bhav. So therefore, the very basis of our Siddhanta is pushing others closer to Krishna and keeping back. So that should be the principle. Whereas in our day-to-day Krishna consciousness, sometimes when the other, Kali Yuga tendency takes over, and we lose on the taste of the original bhav which is being distributed through our parampara.
So much.
Okay. Last question.
Prabhuji, you were saying that when we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we should try to find Krishna's will in these pastimes, in devotees' lives in the Bhagavatam. And Prabhu, we might be able to understand that because Bhagavatam will tell us, and then we'll hopefully understand that. But how can we understand Krishna's will in our lives when we go through things? Because sometimes it may feel like Krishna's will, or it may feel like our decisions or our karma. So is there a way to identify that?
Yeah, yesterday also I mentioned, and again today also I mentioned, consult devotees. So when you have devotees to consult, then you know that there is another opinion. So there is no risk. Right? So when you may think I am this, I am that, but when others say no, this is Maya, you may not believe it, then you ask another devotee. If he also says this is Maya, so you better understand that they are not joking. They are really your well-wishers. Okay. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. I go Premanande.
His Grace Gauranga Prabhu ki jai. Let's give Gauranga Prabhu a big round of applause, a big thank you. Hari Bo. I just want to take a moment again to thank Gauranga Prabhu amongst his very busy schedule and many responsibilities for taking the time to come here and visit us in Dallas. We're so very grateful, and we hope this will be a regular thing during your travels. We pray you come here as often as possible. Also this evening we have the chance to hear from Prabhu again. So please come back at 6:30 this evening to hear from Prabhu. And then I just want to mention that the breakfast prasadam today will be served out in Kalachandji's Park, so we can accommodate everybody nicely. So please go there for prasadam. And we want to thank Shameshwar Prabhu and Baba Prabhu for cooking the wonderful prasad that was offered to the deities this morning, and Vishnu, Rasika Rani, and Anaya Gaurangi for making pancakes this morning. So let's give them a big Hari Bo. We want to thank the devotees that dressed their lordship so nicely this morning. Give them a big Hari Bo, Hari Bo. And lastly, our sincere gratitude to all of you for being here and making this program so wonderful. Thank you so much. Jai Hari Bo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Class will start at 7. We'll start with 6:30 kirtan, but class will be at 7 o'clock. Thank you so much. Jai Srila Prabhupada.